We'll give it a minute or two. Should be on here soon.
Could I share my screen? Would that be helpful?
Sure, we can make you the presenter. Benson, I think you are the.
I'm not even logged in.
Oh, well, that must be Ben, because there's another CIS LTD here.
I just called in. I'm on now. Yeah.
Yeah, whoever starts the meeting is said to be the organizers.
That must be Benny.
Yeah, I'm on too.
Oh, good.
Hey, Mark.
So are we ready to get going?
Yes, sir. I'm recording it.
Awesome. Okay. So the first request that they've had, and I think I already talked to you, Ben Walker, about this anyway, when they're creating an order, one of the things that they need to do is to be able to search through their inventory items. Apparently, there's going to be hundreds of thousands of them because of all the different parts and pieces that they have. So, one of the requests is on this little search screen that comes up, you have a find and you can choose item ID or description, pretty much. I don't know if these other things would be, valid for them for what they're trying to do. What they would be looking to do is be able to select, I don't know how to make this easier. I mean, kind of the new way of thinking is you can search across multiple fields, but, you guys are all in a SQL database, kind of Microsoft SQL, the older way of thinking. Would there be a way to put category on here and let them pick category, say, antenna mounting parts or whatever categories they put, and then underneath that, they could pick a manufacturer, and then underneath that, they can search on a description. That's kind of what they're looking for. They need to be able to figure out what the part is quicker than what we're giving them now. And this is applicable for both the receiving orders, the POs, and the sales orders.
Okay, so the parts lookups, they want to be able to do multi-factor searches, and they want to add in a number of extra fields.
Yeah, and if you think of a better way to do it, definitely,
we already have multi-factor searches in other parts of the system, so we just have to, reprogram this area to support that.
Yeah, we don't have that in Gen Lookup, do we?
Not in Gen Lookup, but yeah. I did rewrite it to be more similar to Query View, so it's doable.
Okay.
Cool. So that's one. Another request is when they have a sales order, they want to create a field called customer. What did they call it? Project description. So on this screen here that shows like the summary of the order or the header, they want a field added here called custom project description. So I guess it helps them if they know it's a Macy's RFID install or RF install or whatever it is. It would help them figure out which order it is that they're looking at if they were able to see that here.
Well, where are we pulling product description from? Is that going to be part of the item master?
They would have to be part of the sales order master.
Is it just going to be a text field?
Yeah, text field. Just a description, a free type text field in this header record somewhere. I mean, maybe, I don't know if we can repurpose any of these or, but one of these fields, which one you pick, it needs to be a verbose enough so they can type in a small description and then have that display on that last form, on this form right here.
Okay.
So that's the second one.
Yeah, we can do that.
Cool. So some of these others are just questions that they have that I can think of a way to do it, but just I want to make sure that I bounce it off you guys, so you tell me if I'm doing it the best way. So the first one is really easy. And this all kind of leads to the same thing. So let me kind of describe what they're doing. They do wireless RF installs. So they have a bunch of trucks with inventory in them, and the inventory would be stuff like antennas and poles and wire and all kinds of stuff along those lines. So they wanted to treat those as mobile warehouses, so they would be actually set up as warehouses. And let me tell you why they want to do it that way. I kind of looked at the idea of having like just one warehouse that says mobile warehouses, and then the locations inside that would be the trucks. Well, that's fine. But the problem with that is they like this transit slip idea so that they can actually move, bulk move items from one warehouse to the next, or bulk move items from the truck to the home office. Because what will happen is, they might put a whole bunch of stuff on a job that's not needed. So, it'll be added to the sales order, of course, but it would never be fulfilled. So then they need to bring that product back to the home office or maybe move it to another truck. What's the best way to give us that ability with the least amount of work? I mean, I'm thinking, the tablet seems like there's not much. They're using a tablet, by the way. When I say tablet, I mean your phone app. There doesn't seem to be a lot that it does with transit slips. It can only seem to be doing that, internal warehouse move thing. But they do like the idea of having this two-step process of, okay, I'm going to create this transit slip. It has all these items on it. Then I'm going to ship it. It's going to note them as in transit, and then I'm going to receive that transit slip back in. So basically, you're saying that the truck driver is accepting or re-accepting that inventory. So there's kind of like they like that two-factor thing. So there's my problem.
Well, we do have a client, Ben or Benson. If you can turn it back over to me, I can walk through that.
I have to call you back, honey. I'm on a call.
Okay, let me log into that. Screen sharing turned on. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Oh, wrong web address there. Okay, so this client, they have a slightly different utility, and it is built into the default mobile application. It is a little bit hidden. So, for example, they have, hundreds of these trucks in the system here. And these are actually tractor trailer, tractor trailer, there's tractor trailer cabs basically on the back of them. 90% of these are. Some are smaller work trucks, but most of the larger items. So each one is treated as a warehouse in the system. They each have inventory. And then the way that they do it is they use the search inventory feature here. And there's nothing on that particular truck. Pick another one. Essentially, they can look up exactly, okay, what is on my truck, and they can just pick those items and move those across to somewhere else. I'm going to pick a warehouse I know they're stock in. And we'll go back into search. Okay, so here, if you look on the right side, basically what they do is they build a pending transaction. So they'll scroll through this list, and it's a few pages long. They might use the search utility as well to find things. But they'll pick whatever they want to build into their transaction, as much as they want or as little as they want. And then they'll jump over to the pending area. And you can see here we have a list of all the different items, number of units, also stores serial numbers and things like that as well. So then this builds up a temporary transaction, and then what they will do from here is either, jump over and use the put in transit functionality, or they'll move it maybe to another location or issue it off or do a couple other operations here. Now, one of the issues here would be this particular client, they immediately, the way the system is set up here is it's an immediate transit. It doesn't go into that pending state. It immediately moves it from one warehouse to the other. And the main reason for that is they're bringing these trucks into the main manufacturing, like the main warehouse, and restocking them regularly. There is no inter-truck kind of transit stage for this client. So we would need to enable the, kind of the receiving in transit functionality. But for example, here I can just run a random transit to, whatever warehouse I'd like. Put any notes in there if you'd like, and click place in transit. You can see it runs through the transaction, and this client does require signatures, and about the best Z I can make with a mouse. And yeah, you'll get a transit number returned here at the bottom, and that's what they use basically in their archives and such. So that's the way it works currently. What we need to do is add a receiving method here as well if you wanted to do that in mobile.
If you could go ahead and make that a line item on the quote so I can let them evaluate whether they want to do that or not.
Understood. I'll make a note of that. And,
is this available for me in the test system now? I'm just not seeing it, or is it something I need to turn on?
what's the which test system are you using? SSEC?
Yeah.
Okay. Should be in there, unless I'm going crazy. Yep, it's in here. It's a little hidden. It is kind of it's a custom bit that managed to make its way into the master version of the system. So it is in here though, and you can use this to process transactions.
Put items in transit. I gotcha. Okay, and that just moves them. At that point, they're already going to be in that warehouse and at that location.
Yes, it moves them, and it does generate a transit slip. It just completes it immediately because, like I said, the client it was developed for, they're just restocking the trucks, but they do want a record of, exactly what happened. But it's an immediate restock for them.
Do they have to have a default location set up for the receiving warehouse act?
I believe you select it when you put in transit, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So your folks that are using this with multiple trucks, I'm glad that you mentioned you had that customer. How are they finding it to search for items? So like, imagine that I'm a worker and I'm looking at this truck full of stuff and I have to move all of it. How are they scanning barcodes? What are they doing in order to make it?
They deal with heavy machinery at this company, so they actually work on oil rigs and stuff. So they've tried barcoding in the past. It just doesn't work. The barcodes get destroyed rather quickly, or the barcodes that do last, they're just too expensive to really be feasible. And you have to find out a special way to attach it to each different tool. So primarily what they'll do is they'll search by any of these fields on the left here. In mobile, it automatically brings up a full search field here, and you can easily add additional factors. So generally they'll use this searching methodology here, either by let's say RFID tag, which they used to use. They really don't use it anymore, but they do have some RFID tags on the system, or location, item ID, supplier, serial. So they do use these fields just basically to find what they're looking for. That said, I mean, most of their trucks only have maybe 3 or 4 pages of actual items, so maybe 200 different items on them in total. So sometimes they'll just page through and find what they're looking for as well. They won't actually sit down and do the search. It does depend on the warehouse tech who's doing it.
So those search criteria, are they partial or full?
So these are full. So basically you can, every search factor here is applied on the search. Whenever you submit it to the server there. So if I put in something for description, location, item ID, I would have those filters. Now that said, I don't know any of the data in your database, so I really don't know what to search on. But
yeah,
but it's all wildcard qualified, right?
Yes, you can. I believe you can use some wildcards in there as well.
Yeah.
So like, are you using % or asterisk?
I believe it's %. We can try it out real quick. We'll do SM. Let's do SM10, I guess.
Yeah.
And if I put like a dash there, then that should still pick it up. Oh, or not. Yeah, I'd have to check. It's been quite a while since I programmed that, so.
Okay.
But we do support the wildcards on both the desktop and the mobile app there. So.
Okay, so that looks easy. I'll play around with that some more. Is there a way, and this is moving on, is there a way to delete, now you guys had enabled that quoting feature for us, which is a sales order with a flag. Is there a way to delete a quote or sales order? I didn't see a delete button.
We
on it.
actually we block deletion of sales orders and things like that just because it's very easy for people to screw up their records. You know, if you go in and delete something that shouldn't have been deleted, that's obviously bad. Primarily what we do in our system is we like to cancel them. You know, and that goes the same for things like parts, you know, purchase orders, sales orders, work orders. We prefer it gets moved into a canceled state and archived that way instead of just being completely destroyed. Since quotes are temporary, we could possibly enable a deletion for those, but that would need to be programmed in for the specific quote status.
So if you say cancel them, will they display on the list of open quotes?
I don't believe so. We'd have to obviously open that up and check though.
And is there to cancel a flag? I see cancel on the button there, but I thought that just meant cancel me opening this form. I didn't know that it meant cancel.
Yeah, I believe that is the, so are any of these quotes?
Not sure.
Just change one.
Where's the field at?
On the bottom.
Oh, this one is a quote. Okay. Okay, so if we cancel, okay, and that was number 6. And why did that move me over to this screen? Okay, we might have a little bit of a glitch there. Let me go back to shipping orders. So it's no longer on the current page, and it is on the canceled page. We would have to change the filter on the quotes page to hide it if it's in the canceled status.
Is that something that you guys would do, or do you need to add it to our quote?
That's a quick change. That'll only take about a minute.
All right, so definitely put that on your list because they did ask about that, and that does look like it'll work for me. I don't think they care if it's deleted. I think they just don't want to see it.
Mm-hmm. That's how it is with most clients. They just don't want it on their list of current things anymore.
So the cancel button is what did that.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Now you can also restore it if you do cancel it. You'll notice that the button changed to restore after I click cancel.
That's great. I think that's a great.
If they kill something accidentally, they can bring it back.
That's perfect. I think that's great. While I got you, how do you guys? There's 2 things. There on this quote sales order, they want to add a customer project number, and I see you got a bunch of fields there, and I know I can customize it and change the names. You know, what do you guys, in your experience, which field should we use, or it's just basically a project number that they can refer to it from the customer's perspective?
Generally, you know, it depends. I mean, trailer number and serial number can be reused pretty readily. It's one of those things. Some of these fields you really can't touch. Some of them you can, but we can easily reassign a couple of these fields to whatever is needed. I'd say, yeah, trailer number and serial number, those are the 2 most readily available.
Yeah, there's string options in there too. I don't think that's being used anywhere. That's usually the one.
String OPT 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Well,
I'm going to go ahead and make the change. Which one do you want me to use?
probably one of these 2, the string OPT 1 or string OPT 2.
Okay, awesome. That works. OPT 1. Okay. Next question. Drop ship. How do you guys deal with drop shipping? It's going to be on the sales order. It's never going to show up in inventory. It's going to go right to the customer.
I'm sure we've done it before, Benson. Might have been before my time, though.
It might have been before my time too. I mean, what we'd have to do is we'd have to have the ship to, well, we do have the ship to as a customer address. We'd have to put a box that represents drop ship, just, you know, a check box, and then just avoid, we can hide the issue button, and then they can never receive inventory against it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'd have
to. Mark it as completed.
Yeah, mark it as completed. So, I mean, it's not a big change to do it.
Can you add that to my quote?
Dropship capability.
Kind of like what we did with quote. Quote works the same way. It just hides the issue button.
So essentially do the same thing, but then put in a method to let it be completed.
Right.
Gotcha.
And what will that do to the mobile device? Will it also not show up there anymore?
We'll have to customize the mobile to hide these the quote status and the dropship status in there, because that's not baked into the default mobile version.
All right, I think they will want that, so definitely add that as a line item so I can, again, I think it would be great if you give them a menu of things. This is what this is, and this is what it costs. This is what this is what it costs. That way, I mean, because honestly, I mean, I love these guys, but they're cheap.
I'm tired of cheap people, Mark. I'll tell you that right now.
I hear you, Ben. I am totally on board with you there, but hey, it's what we have to work with for this one anyway. I mean, I don't know anybody else that uses so they basically, you saw it, like a Kindle Fire mobile device, which costs like $79, and then they rooted it and put regular Android on it, and they're using a $39 Bluetooth scanner. Right? It's the only place I've ever seen a $110 mobile device.
I mean, they would have been better off buying used iPads off eBay at that rate. I mean, really.
Well, these are brand new, though. I mean, with a warranty and everything.
The thing is, with the iPads, you have a much higher quality device at the same, $100 price point, basically.
True.
More mainstream browser as well.
Yeah. I mean, rooted Android, I mean, that should be fine, but again, it's a little bit of a wacky environment.
So next question.
Mark, are you going to quote this in phases then, just to not shock them so much, or what are you going to do?
Well, it's like a menu, like they're going to a restaurant and they're going to say, for phase 1, I want this, this, and this, and then for phase 2, I want, I'll let them break it up, but, okay, how do we delete a warehouse? Now, I saw a flag that says is a warehouse, and the reason I'm asking this is it goes back to the same thing with the trucks. So, Dan's truck is a location, and Dan doesn't work for us anymore. So I can do two things, right? I can just rename Dan's truck to Bill's truck, the new guy, or I can delete that truck. So there's no way to delete a warehouse that I've seen, but you can uncheck that is a warehouse. And I was just wondering, is that the correct way to do this, or do you guys have another idea?
Yeah, that's the best way to do it, because when you uncheck that box, it will no longer appear on all of the lookups. So, for example, I just check that box and we can't see, Bill's truck in there anymore. Yeah, that's the best way to do it, is just to click that box. I mean, if all the inventory is being moved just to the next location, you could rename it. The main reason, again, we don't allow deletion of certain types of records like this is just because, warehouse information gets logged along with, all the different transactions for stock. So if you start deleting these records, it becomes a little messy to figure out where stuff was and where it went. So you can just uncheck that box, and that's all you need to do, and it no longer will show up on their list.
Good. That's what I had tested, so make sure that was the right way. Now, if we decide that we want that Bill is replacing Dan, is it okay to rename the warehouse? Do you see any potential issues with doing that?
If all the stock is being moved straight across, you should be fine. If not, then I would just create a new warehouse, and it just depends on what the type of stock operation is. Is it just, okay, we're taking it off of his truck, just putting it on the new truck? Then you're fine. But if you're mixing and matching and doing some weird stuff as far as what's getting put on the new truck, then it might be better to create a new one.
It only really matters if you care about your history, because in the audit trail, the warehouse, the current warehouse that the transaction was booked against, is the one that shows in the description. So if you change it, the history will still show it as Bill's truck, even though it's now Dan's truck. So, and you probably don't want that to change anyways. But I mean, everything's related with a record key, not by the warehouse name, so should be good.
Okay. I only have a few more, so thanks for sticking with me. They want to use kits, but they also, and I understand how to do that. I worked through all that. It works fine. They also want an asset kit, meaning that they have let's call it like a little briefcase that everybody goes out with, and they have this Fluke tester, and they have a laptop and a bunch of cables. So, it's an asset. It's never going to get sold, but it is a kit, and they want to assign it to, Dan's truck or the employee Dan, or however you want to set it up. So my original thought was, well, I didn't see a way to do that in the asset module, but if we just put it in inventory and assign it to them, that's going to give them the same functionality, I'm thinking. I just want your feedback on that.
Yeah, I would agree if it's a kit. That's probably the easiest way to do it, especially if it needs to be assigned to a particular location. Because that's what actually the company I showed you a few moments ago, I mean, they mostly deal in tools. So they're assigning tools, which is their inventory, to different trucks, to different, vehicles, whatever. So yeah, I would just put that in inventory if that's a very common item and it's not like a unique thing.
Is there any way to make it not saleable?
We can mark it as, we do have some flags for that, if I remember correctly. I believe they're hidden by default.
Yeah, it's buy and sell. So
Yeah, the buy and sell fields.
Uncheck sell.
Let me just turn those on real quick.
Oh, cool. So if you say uncheck sell, you can't sell it. That's awesome.
You can still issue it off if it's damaged, but you can't, put it on like a shipping order or anything like that. So yeah, right here just is a sell. Check that box. You're good to go.
Awesome. That's good. That helps. Okay, I think that's what we'll do. On the mobile, they're looking for sales order. Can they search by customer? I didn't see that.
I believe so. Jump over there and just confirm. Get back, search. They can select by customer, not search at the moment. So if they need to type in a text field, I'd have to change that over. Essentially, right now, it's meant that you can select it from a drop-down list of all the customers.
Let's not put that on the quote for now, but I'll mention that to them.
Okay.
And I didn't see a way to do this, and I know this is going to be a huge one, but they also kind of like the idea of being able to assign a user to a warehouse, meaning that the user, Dan, can only mess with Dan's truck.
That's doable. That's in the base system. So, for example, if I will use mobile user, down here you can specify a single warehouse or multiple warehouses for people to work in. So here, if I wanted someone to only work in DC, save that. This user can only access that warehouse, and they log into mobile.
I got it.
They log
Awesome.
into the desktop. Again, down here you can select multiple, multiple different warehouses from the work in.
That works. That's perfect. I didn't look here. I looked in users and groups. I didn't look in users. I looked in groups and all that other stuff and didn't see it. So you gotcha. All right. Awesome.
And you can also put them into read-only mode, and then in that case, they can't actually post-transaction.
Do anything. Okay. Can the same, I don't know why they want to do this, but they ask for it. Can the same vendor have multiple prices? I looked at your suppliers catalog, and it looks like the key is supplier and item. So there'd be no way to have multiple prices, correct?
So, like, are they looking for a min-max price or just a, what are the multiple prices? What purpose does it serve?
I'm assuming their vendors change prices based on quantity, I'm imagining, right? It's one price if you buy one and, another.
We've done that on the master record for the, we did that not for purchasing though. Yeah, this is price levels for selling from the system, not for intake. So, yeah, that would have to be done. We've done it here, obviously. I think we could do it again for over on the supplier's catalog, but it would need to be fleshed out there.
And that's probably a bigger job, right?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, because obviously I did it over here in the item master list for sales. Sales is a completely different kind of ballpark than purchasing. So it would need to be, I would need to figure out how to do that. Yeah. Not sure off the top of my head. It might be a big project. I might copy paste everything from here. I'd have to think about it.
So I think for now, let's leave that alone. I don't want you to spend a lot of time on something I don't think they're going to buy. So let me tell them no. And the other way I thought that, I saw that you could do it, like we could say you could have two different suppliers that are really the same supplier, right? That would work too.
Yeah,
so
that's another option.
Yeah, I played around with that. That works. So good. So that's it, guys. if you can get me that quote, I appreciate it, and thank you for your help and support. I mean, they have a lot of work to do on their side. They haven't given me a full part number list yet, and I kind of created a document for them that shows their workflow, and I went over it with them last week. So we should, be getting ready, I think, the beginning of May to go live with this thing to get all these parts together. And so I might be looking for your help in the meantime, but for now, I think I'm good. If you can just get me that quote and we can go over that stuff with them, that'd be wonderful.
Sounds good.
Well, great. Thanks for your time. Did you guys have any questions for me?
I don't. I think everything's pretty straightforward. Don't know about the other guys though.
No, I'm good.
Awesome.
There's no other work that you sense that's going to happen, right? Other projects.
Yeah, let me check with the team because I'm getting kind of out of that pre-sales stuff. What they put me into is a role where I'm doing pre-sales for like the big customers, the Intels, the Costco's, those guys, and the one you probably want to be talking to is Sean Christofferson. He's kind of taking over the roles for the everyday, small to medium customers. So, but I'll ask him and I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. I don't really have anything.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys for your time, and have a wonderful night.
Okay, bye.
Have a good one.
Bye now.